Hey, welcome to another episode of Panakal Podcast for Geeks, the good show about friends hanging out, talking about things we all love. I was going to ask you how to say your last name before we went live, Matt, and I spaced on it. Is it Paquette? Is it Paquette?
I'll take it. Yeah.
No, tell me how to say it.
So, I mean, depending on who you ask, it's Paquette or
Paquette.
Paquette.
Okay. No, but I should know how to say your name, Paquette. And then you guys all know my co-host, Andrew Sides. Welcome to the show. I was going to talk about your company, but I also felt like I should talk about how we met, because we met at dinner last year at Gen Con,
Yeah,
right?
start with that. How'd you guys
Good.
meet?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Chris and his brother invited me to a dinner, Brotherwise Games, and I was like, okay. And I honestly thought all these guys sitting around me were. I thought you guys all worked for Brotherwise, but they work with Brotherwise. So I guess that's kind of the same thing. And then we were at a really sweet spot for dinner, and then after that, some of you guys came with me to hang out with the artists at the Hyatt bar and drink.
That's cool.
So we were playing shuffleboard and chilling over there, and then we got to know each other a little better. And then I Googled your name later, and I was like, "Oh, this guy did all the branding stuff. like I should have talked to him more." But you guys, so I went and checked out your work. But before we get into your work, we do this thing at the top of the show where we talk about something new, something cool, something unique that you either discovered or want to talk about or know about forever, whatever. No pressure if you got nothing. Andrew and I always.
No, I was thinking about that. I got a couple of things. So Photoshop just released their new strawberry something or other beta.
Our friend was just talking about the generative AI
That's
stuff.
what I'm going to talk about. Yeah. And it's so, I mean, I know there's this whole issue about, where it gets the generative art and everything like that. But if you don't kind of delve into that stuff, I had it was a game I was working on, a follow-up for one of the games I'd previously worked on for this publisher, and I wanted to there was like a sky scene, there was lightning in the sky. I'm like, I can work on this and take it up myself by hand. Like, hey, let's try this new beta. So I said, remove, I highlighted it all, I said, remove lightning. Literally 15 seconds later, gone.
That's cool.
And I didn't even have to say where the lightning was. It recognized it as lightning, and it was neat.
That is cool. Like one of the things that's like what I want that tool to do, is I wanted to remove a lot of that kind of drudgery.
Yeah. Right.
Kind of thing. Or like what our friend did earlier, where she was testing
literally
converting portraits into formats that were more acceptable for like playmat ratios.
So
she was doing like the generative background to expand it out and stuff. And yeah, she was said like, I don't think I would use this in like work, but for stuff like this is perfect for it.
Yeah, I'd be really selective where I use it for work. If it saves me time to do like pylon work, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, our friend is going to paint everything at the end. So I think for what she's trying to do, it's fine. I guess it becomes a problem if you use it to fill stuff in and then just print it,
Yeah.
It's the same argument we're not going to get into a talk about AI, but it would be the same.
No, but it's cool.
Like, I was gonna say that's how it would be if you did like the content aware tool anyway with it, because like what is it, like more often than not with that thing, you get it, you're like, well, this is pretty close, but there's a weird little repeating shape here, there's a weird thing here, I gotta clean all that up now, and then you just gotta go back in. That's what
this thing was cool, because it gave her on one of them it was cool because it made this like crystalline structure right in the back of one of her paintings, but on the other one it threw in a random dude. Like there's like a female archer or something, and it threw in this random guy, and I was just like, that's like, it's funny is what it is, right? Because you're just like, why was that what you chose to fill this space with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's funny.
You could also, you wanted to talk about your UDEC or UX deck, you said, right? Is that your backup song?
Do you want to save that for?
Yeah, we can save it for later. We can talk about it later.
Okay. Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to talk about real quick was I started playing guitar again really recently, and this guitar, it's an American Strat that I got in 2006, and I love it, but it was it was the G string was buzzing like something fierce, and I couldn't figure out how I couldn't fix it. So I brought it to a local luthier, and I said, I need to get this fixed. Can you do something for it? He's like, yeah, absolutely. And he has this machine called a Plek machine. And I don't know if you ever heard of this thing, but it's a $250,000 machine.
Holy crap. Okay.
That basically you strap your guitar into it, and it has this robotic, it's all computerized, it has this robotic arm that comes down, and it touches every string in the fret after it does the round of that on every fret, every string. And then it touches the fretboard, and then it touches where the fret height is. After you have all that data, it shows you all the computerized stuff and everything, and you can dial it down. And what it does is you take the strings off, and it CNCs and mills all of the frets down for you to remove all of that stuff.
That's cool.
Isn't it, though?
Awesome. That's really awesome.
That sounds pricey, but
it was $300.
Oh, that's not so bad.
No, So I asked him, I'm like, wow, is that a Plek machine? He's like, yeah. I said, how many of those are in the area? He's like, one. It's right there.
Yeah,
it's me.
So
that's like, it's always like interesting when you find like the one guitar shop that, like, I remember back in the day I did I had a drop D tuner on my guitar. I have a Floyd Rose floating bridge on an old Jackson, and I was like, I'm not going to try to install this part myself. I'm going to fuck it up, Oh, by the way, you can swear on the show if you want, Matt. I forgot to say that before. And I had to go to a specific shop, and luckily it was about an hour and a half away in the suburb called Naperville, and it was like a small mom and pop shop out there. And there's one dude, and they're like, he's only in on Thursdays, so I had to go in on Thursday, and then I had to leave the guitar with him. He wasn't going to work on it then. I had to come back a week later and install this piece that gave me the drop D tuner, and I hated it. I did the drop D tuning for like a month, and I was like, I don't know why I thought this was a good idea. I want to take this thing off. And I go back to the same guy. Yeah, and he was like, no, I told you to just tune your strings down, man.
Crazy stuff, man. Like, it's just, but I have this one hanging here, and I have my acoustic hanging at the office.
Yeah, this, nice. Over Black Friday last year. So I have an Epiphone Goth, and I have a Jackson, and I have a Ovation acoustic.
I used to have an Ovation.
Dude, I've had this thing since I was like 15. But
I bought it when I was like 14. Grade 9.
I bought an acoustic back in the day because my cousins were all like, if you learn to play an acoustic, you're gonna be like a ninja when you get to the electrics because your fingers will be stronger. And I was like, yeah. I'm still not that good. As I told Scott, I make noise, right? But I was talking to Scott Fisher at AlexCon in 2019, and we went in like an hour-long conversation about guitars. And then when we were done, I was just like, okay, I'm going to pull these guitars back out. Then when we bought a house now, I can actually practice more. And this thing, during Black Friday, Fender was giving, if you sign up, I do online Fender classes now, and they gave that guitar to me for free.
Shut up, really?
It's just part of the class. It's a Squier.
Is it a bullet? Is it a bullet or a Squier?
It's a Squier, and it needs to be tuned every time you pick it up.
Yeah.
But that's I guess I would call that the beauty of a Squier. It forces you to learn to tune, right? I still don't know how to tune by ear as well as I'd like to.
Yeah.
But I'm getting better at hearing a note and going, that string's off,
Yeah. Once this thing was plecked, oh my God, I played it like every day, every other day. It stayed in tune for like 2 months.
Yeah. Oh, well, the Goth I've got has a lock on the top. So when you lock the strings, I just fine tune them at the bass, and I barely have to tune it maybe once a month, which is nice. I had
that on an old Yamaha.
Yeah,
it had a locking nut system, and
you should look up Scott Fisher because he does this thing now where he's going to somebody watching, Jason, maybe you remember the name of the website, but he goes to this like used guitar shop. Some of it comes from Japan. He gets these old guitars. There's a company that makes Fender knockoffs that were in Japan back in the day. He buys the body, sometimes only the body, brings it in, tunes it up, draws artwork on it because he's Scott fucking Fisher, and then turns around and sells it for, I can't say the cost, but he sells them for like way more than he bought them for.
Yeah, sure.
And he's got like 50 or 60 guitars hanging behind him in his studio, and I'm just like, Jesus.
That is cool.
It's cool.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of guitar making things lately. There's one guy that just makes it a different thing. He took like newspapers and made like he compressed it with resin and made it that. He did one. It was solid body aluminum.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really neat stuff.
I talked to the guy who made what's his name from White Stripes, Jack White. So Jack White has a guitar that looks like a Gresh, but it's not an actual Gresh. It's a custom build for him. He's the same guy who made the guitars for the Matt Bellamy is his name from Muse, I think. He's got some funky guitars. So I was like, oh, I'd like you guys. He's a friend of mine's uncle. So I try to see if I can get a guitar made. Dude, they're like 15 grand. And I was just like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
I've been looking.
I'm not so good that I need a $15,000 guitar. You know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I've been trying to diversify my logo tees lately. So, I like for a while it was just all board game stuff, and now I wanted to kind of get some different ones, and so I was looking for guitar shirts, and I didn't want like Fender and Gibson and all that stuff. So I found some really funky. I was looking for like boutique brands that I could that had merch, and I would get them. And if it wasn't too, because a lot of them were like cost prohibitive to get shipped to Canada, right? So it would be like, yeah, the shirt's $25 and shipping is $45.
I know, man. Anytime someone orders something from me and I'm like, the book is like 50 and shipping it to you is going to cost almost as much. You know?
But I found I found an amp company called Rev Amps, REVV. Okay. And it was like super cool 70s kind of shirt. And then there's Walrus Audio makes pedals. And it was a really cool shirt too. So I'm like, I'm pretty jazzed.
Man.
I've never heard of those. My goal is to get an orange amp. That's my
one of my coworkers has one.
Dude, I love them. They're probably my favorite amps.
Yeah, he likes it a lot.
Well, I love a band called Billy Talent, and Billy Talent's the lead guitarist used to play mainly orange amps, and I think they're from Canada actually.
They are.
Yeah, and I'm not as good as Ian, but that amp was amazing. But I have this Vox amp, so my wife's like, get rid of the Vox amp first. There's no reason to have multiple amps.
What you can get instead of an orange amp is get a modeler.
True.
And you have all the amps.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound the same.
They say it's pretty darn close. Like the guy Satchel from Steel Panther. You know that band?
Yeah, I know Steel Panther.
He only uses modelers.
That's interesting. I mean, I can one.
They're hair metal, so it's like super compressed, right?
Right.
But yeah, no, I think my next. I mean, this PV is good. I like it. It's my first tube amp. But if I were to get another one,
chaos, man. But they're loud.
Yeah, I don't. I usually play with earphones on, so.
Oh, you don't need that.
No. But yeah, I might get like a Fender Blues Junior or something like that.
Yeah.
Just for the nice
Jason's asking about the orange amp. They're actually called orange amps, and they actually are orange. They're like sun-kissed orange, and they make a very grungy sound. You're not going to get like a very clean channel on. So it's very punkish. We've been talking about guitars for a minute, so we can move past this. I can talk about guitars forever. So
what have you been enjoying, Alan?
So I was trying to think of, I was like, I don't want to talk about D&D this week because that's what I always bring up. But Jason will enjoy this too. So what I've been trying to do is every X I will get. Do you know what slabbing a comic book is, or getting it graded?
Like is it mint or is it?
Right. So they will actually like take the comic book. So there's a company called CBCS. My friend works for them, and they will grade it and they will slab it. Which what sucks about it is you can't ever read it again unless you pry that thing open. But if its value is X when you slab it, its value goes up. Technically about 3 times. That's what I'm hearing.
So not that I'm going to sell it. On it.
No, it is in a case.
Oh, okay.
So I've been trying to get a sketch from the guy who worked on Batman, basically. And so up here it says, Sean Murphy with sketch and the date. And I got a 9.8 out of a 10.0 on it. This is the sketch he gave me, by the way, which is cool, right? Usually, most people don't get sketches slabbed, but in this case, my friend got a blank sketched for me. But on the polar opposite end, I got a Hellboy #1, Hellboy in Hell, signed by Mignola, and I got a very low rating on it. And now I was looking at it, which is fine. 7.0 and 10.0, still not bad. And I was like, why? And I went and looked it up, and basically, the guy looked through it, said, like, you know, the corners are a little, it's such a fine bend, even I couldn't tell, right? Just with my eyes. And then some of the color is off on the spine. And again, it's so slight, but that's what this guy's job is, right? Is to go through this. I imagine the people that have to grade these are like Bart Simpson with the tweezers and like turning the pages real slowly, and then using a magnifying lens and going through the whole thing. But I got a bunch of them done, which I wouldn't have done as well if my friend didn't work for this company. But so that's the newest thing I've done. If you own like an old comic book, so for example, if you look up. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Jason. DC Comics 27, I think, is the first appearance of Batman. Detective Comics 27.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, so if you have it just in like a bagged and boarded, it's worth thousands of dollars. But if you have it graded at a pretty decent grading, it could be worth upwards of millions of dollars. And that's because you've put value on it by, I guess, protecting it and having it graded. This isn't a system now, so someone who wants this one specifically.
Is that only comics, or because I've seen other things?
You can do baseball cards
slabbed like that, like VHS and all that.
I've never seen anyone do a VHS
database somewhere, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's logged. So this company has it logged in their database. CBCS has it in their database. Now, the Sean Murphy sketch, I don't know how that's logged, but if you were to say, "Hey, I'm looking for a Hellboy #1 signed by Mignola," somewhere in this range of grading for this cost. Technically, I should have it logged in there. So they could be like, hey, we got somebody who has that. He might sell it to you. Right. Yeah, like Jason said, they'll grade anything. Like you can literally send them baseball cards, and I have a friend who got some of his old, do you remember the old Marvel cards that they used to make way back in the day?
Yeah.
I had a tin of them.
Yeah, so he has like the first series. He had one like some of them signed by the artist that worked on the cards.
Oh, nice.
And he got a bunch of those graded, which is cool. And yeah, Jason, I know I have to take better care of my comics.
I would be too tempted to troll that. Try and get like whatever old thing I can get graded that I know for a fact. It's like, no, this is valueless.
I only wanted to get like specific things graded, right? Like I've got like a Jim Lee Batman 608 first issue he did for Batman, signed by Jim Lee. And I think the grading on that one is it's 9.8 as well. Here, let me see real quick. I got a bunch, but I'm not going to go through them all. Oh, here's a good one I've got. Todd McFarlane, Spider-Man. Signed, CGC, 9.8. Here's my Jim Lee, 9.8. And I've got the paperwork for it. This was the first one I ever did. So...
That's out of 10?
Out of 10. Yeah.
Nice.
So this one I took good care of. The Hellboy I thought I did. And this is the first appearance of Batman, but this is a fourth printing. And this one's got a 9.6, so it's not that bad condition. So it's pretty good.
I think the only comic I have that's possibly worth a damn for any of this is like a Rob Liefeld #1 Captain America.
So the one with the chest sticking out?
No.
Oh.
It's, I think that's a promo piece.
I don't know. It's a horrible piece.
Well, I think that's like a promo piece. That's not part of any comic book. I think that was just made for like a poster or whatever. But no, it's weird. And more for me, its value is only there just to like look at the wonkiness that's a Liefeld drawing and be like, wow, somebody paid someone for this. Really good money too at the time.
I mean, that's popular, man. I bought, Jason had an old, he had the new first appearance at Cable, and I was like, I'll buy that. And someday I'm going to get Liefeld to sign it. And I'll say, draw some feet on it.
I've never been a collector of anything, really, to the point where I'd like get stuff graded or valued.
Yeah, me neither. Right. I've never had a strong, like, I'll collect random things. Like, I have a lot of dinosaurs every which way, but none of that. Yeah, that's just more for my own amusement kind of thing. Like, I've never.
The grading is something like I said, my friend works at the company, so I thought, all right, I'll grade these comics. So I don't want them to get damaged, you know?
Yeah. if you know
like,
that
I've
like you're
got
not going to
boxes of
see
old
them again,
comics
or if you have duplicates or whatever, then it's kind of like, yeah, why not? I get it.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna do all my. I mean, I've got a box of X-Men comics from like print number 1 to like the current run. I'm not gonna get those graded because it's like 400 issues, right?
Right.
I could be like Jason and just dump all my comic books. Oof, it's crazy. So what do you have, Andrew?
I actually, speaking of comics, I actually just finished a comic book series. I started and finished it within a week because it was only like 8 issues. It's put out by Image Comics called Billion Genies. If you ever heard of this series
Billy
at
and
all.
Genies?
No, 8 billion genies.
Oh, I heard about this. It's only how many issues?
8.
Okay.
So what it is like the human population one day reaches 8 billion people, and on that day, a genie appears for every single person that's alive. And each person, as a result, gets one wish. And that wish can be anything. And basically what the story is extrapolating from that. It's like, well, what does that mean? If everyone gets one wish, what does that mean? What does it look like? And the story is basically set up as like, what is that in 8 seconds or 8 minutes from now, 8 days from now, 8 weeks from now, 8 months, 8 years, 8 decades, century, and so on and so forth until the series ends. But yeah, it's just seeing like, what is all the knock-on effects?
It sounds like pure chaos.
Yeah, I would say so.
I saw that on the shelves at the comic book store, and my guy didn't sell it to me as well, so I was just like, I'm not gonna get it.
Oh, highly recommend. It's a great, nice, self-contained story. Those are the best. I love those kind of stories where they're just neat,
one and done.
tight. There's not a whole bunch of things. Yeah, it's like 8 issues. I burned through it within a week because I was like, I just ate it right up. But highly recommend. It came out like in 2021, I want to say, possibly. So I know that there's a collected edition around.
Gotcha.
And then you can get it digital as well and stuff wherever Image does that. My friend lent me his issues to read because he had just read through it and he was like, "Wow, like you got to check this out." And I was like, "Sure, I'll take a look."
Add it to the list. I'll add it to the list. All right, let's talk about Matt a little bit here.
Yeah.
So you own this whole this marketing company, obviously, advertising, branding, marketing, because you're doing stuff for Gamma. I see.
Is it just advertising, or do you do the design aspects and stuff? All that.
It's a visual design studio is basically
right.
Kind of agency, studio, whatever. So,
but according to the beta version of me, you're a shit graphic designer.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy, by the way, if he's watching. But yeah, dude. I mean, I remember when I first started doing Origins. And then I've seen the progress of the new stuff, and it's actually I like it a lot. I didn't realize you were the one. You guys were the ones that worked on it. It's awesome.
I was supposed to go to Origins in 2020, but then the pandemic hit.
Yeah, I was a guest of honor in 2020, and I got screwed. And then I was the guest of honor in 2021, and they didn't market me at all. And I was like, thanks, guys.
Oh man,
was that for the
online one? It's for like the Origins Lite. Where it was
the in-person one.
Yeah, it was in person, but they only had like half the floor because people still didn't want to come to the show.
Yeah.
But like, you redesigned the Gamma logo, I see, and then you did the Origins logo. All this is awesome stuff.
Yeah, that was all done at the same time. It was fun. This would be my first Origins this year.
I'll be there.
Cool.
I think Brotherwise will be there. They weren't there last year. I don't know where they were.
I'm not sure if they're going to be there. I don't think they are, actually.
No? See, that's where I first met Chris, because, what's that game? Oh, fuck.
Lost Monster?
The one with the rocks, or the you have to, like, make 3, like, crystals in a row. Shit. Hang on.
Oh, Unearth?
Unearth, yeah. So, a bunch of people kept coming to my booth asking me to sign the game, thinking I was the artist, because my work looked similar to that artist. And I was just like, I didn't work on this game.
Oh, right. Yeah, you did tell me about that. Yeah.
And then finally, Brian Colin, who you know, Brian, you were mutual friends. Brian was like, you should go over there and talk to Chris. and introduce yourself and tell them about your artwork. And I was just like, hey, man, if you're ever looking for someone who lives in the U.S. to work on some games, I'm your guy. And then he looked at my work and he really liked it. And then we just became friends. So, but yeah. And then he did Unearth 2. And I'm like, yo, you didn't use me for the game.
So like basically a game company will come with you and say like, hey, here's our game. We need now it to look pretty.
Yeah.
Can you help?
Yeah. So, I mean, we can do, like, now we have a little bit of illustration talent in-house, but predominantly, I mean, I started off, I used to work, so I guess let's do the origin story here. Back in 2015, I was working at a museum, and it was a financial museum as part of our central bank, the Bank of Canada, which is kind of like the Fed, I guess, in the States.
Yeah,
gotcha. So it's not a bank you can get an account at, but the governor, like the head of the Bank of Canada, sets the interest rate for the country. He determines financial policy and all that stuff. So we had a financial museum. Originally it was called the Currency Museum, then it changed to expanded its we did this 4-year renovation for the head office, and we got a new museum out of it, which was really cool. This company in Montreal did it, and it was super awesome. But as a graphic designer for the museum, my purview or the influence that I had over the museum went from this to this, because the temporary exhibition space was severely shrunk down, which is the space that we have control over changing the exhibitions for. So I started to play board games at that point. One of the guides at the museum says, "Hey, I'm having some board games at my house. You want to come over on Saturday?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. I guess played D&D as a kid and everything, and played Talisman." I'm like, "Nah, I mean, maybe some other time." And then he asked me again like a couple weeks later. I said, "Sure." So we played like 10 games in 12 hours. Dang. And my head was just like at the end of it, but I loved it.
Oh, God, yeah, definitely.
It was perfect. We played, what did we play? We played like Skull and Roses. I played Marvel Legendary, a few others. It was just a lot of fun. So then I started collecting games, and then I started making my own little player aids and other things for games that I owned, and putting them on BGG, and people are like, "You should like do this." So I'm like, okay, well, why not? Because at that point I was freelancing on the side with a restaurant I used to work at, so I was doing all of their menus and advertisements and stuff. And
right.
And I at the point where I kind of stopped doing that, I had done like 800 projects with this burger chain. I'm like, yeah, that's enough. I need to move on. So
it's a lot of burgers.
Yeah, exactly. So I started to kind of send emails out to all these publishers that I wanted to work with. I remember the day kind of I got my first job. I was at TypeCon in Denver, and it's a typography conference, right? And
I actually, that sounds interesting to me.
It sounds kind of neat to check out.
It was one of my favorite shows ever. But I was there, and funny enough, I was walking in the convention center, and there was some people at one of the couches areas in the hallway, and they were doing something around a table. I looked, and there's like some kind of card game. It was Maddox Schuler from Keymaster Games, demoing his what is now called Campy Creatures.
Yeah, and that's a fun game.
It is. But then it was called Blob the Princess. So Maddox,
I'm glad he changed that name.
I know, right? Maddox is a type designer, so that's why he was there. But anyway, so I got my first job. I got an email came in from AEG. I got my first job to work on some stuff for Mystic Vale, and it kind of started from there. And I left the bank a few years later and started doing this full time, and then just graphic design for games. Word got around, and I was getting busier than I could really handle. So then I asked some friends of mine that I knew in the industry, can you take on a couple extra things? And I was subbing stuff out to them and still art directing the whole thing. Got in a couple of tricky situations with clients because I didn't quite have my my spiel down, and they were under the mistaken impression that it was just me working on stuff. So that got corrected awfully quickly.
Sure.
Due to necessity. And then, fast forward to today, we're a studio of 8 people and
nice.
And it's great.
Yeah, I saw I looked at your website a lot yesterday, and you do the crowdfunding stuff too. I see you did stuff for like Overboss, for example. So you did like all the campaign page designs and the social media and all that. So you guys just design the stuff and then they have to go do all the advertising, or do you guys actually do the advertising and stuff for them too?
We'll make the ads. When it comes to, so there's a lot of really good companies out there like Quill Silver or Kira Peevely, who used to be with Man vs. Meeple, has this really great company called Off Duty Ninja, and they do a lot of that marketing plan kind of stuff.
Sure.
We are more on the executable side of things as opposed to the planning and side of things.
I'm definitely be talking to you later.
So they would already have a plan set, and it's just like, we just need you to make the assets for it.
Yeah. Often the client, the publisher, will be working with us and some kind of marketing firm, or doing all the marketing stuff in-house.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. That's neat.
Yeah.
I said earlier, I was like, wow, I never thought about this as being like a thing, but yeah, this is actually really good. To just be like, we will design your thing for you.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they did all the design stuff for this campaign. I'm just like, that would take so much stress off of people.
It's the funny thing too with the board game industry. I mean, like, I've never been in an industry where it is so the pro-am presence is such a large presence in this industry, where you have weekend warriors and people who have day jobs who are running. Like, one of my clients is a one-man shop, and he puts out more games than any other client I have, and he has a day job.
My God.
I mean, if you got it, you got it.
Right, exactly. I mean, I don't know when he sleeps or when he sees his wife, but coming into this industry, as I wanted to come in as a professional offering professional services versus my nephew does graphic design, or
that old
like
hat.
That, right? I mean, and that's fine, and that, I mean, it's fine, but and we had to cut our teeth with I worked with a lot of people that maybe we may be out of their price range now,
right?
But I think
they're what you use to build up your.
Well, exactly. I mean, at this point, I mean, we still want to work with a lot of the indie pubs and stuff like that, and we don't. I mean, prices and everything. If there's a client or a project that comes along and we're really, really jazzed about it, we'll take it on for whatever they can we'll work something out. And it's just it's the project that drives the work.
Sure.
It has to be. I mean, in a creative industry, it has to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, nobody wants to buy a shit product. I was gonna also
you have to feel something for what you're working on.
Yeah.
You have to actually like it too, right? Like, otherwise, it's really hard to work on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's I've gotten better at dissociating myself with having to really love the genre or whatever, but
sure,
I can start to appreciate the quality of the work, and like, oh yeah, I'm not a big Art Deco fan, but that is so fucking Art Deco. You rock it.
Yeah,
right.
I know that feeling. I was going to ask you about Night of the Ninja. You mentioned earlier that you might be able to share.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can screen share.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about that game is a lot of people think it's just digital art that people kind of, that the artist just kind of drew. What it is, it's all, if you see any of the cards, I don't have my copies here.
I was looking at some online, and I didn't think about it until you pointed it out earlier. I was like, oh God, yeah, I can actually stands out now. Where it's like, oh wow.
I think mine's in the garage. Unfortunately,
it's basically. I'll share my screen. I'll pull up a couple of cards on BGG. You can see what I'm talking about.
So if you go, a screen share on here.
So like just the purpose, because you were telling us earlier, it's all shadow boxes.
Yeah, so you look at these cards and you're like, "Oh, that's really cool art," and then you look at them closer and you're like, "Oh, that is so cool." Because I mean, it's hard to tell because of Photoshop these days. It's so easy to do
to replicate that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, share screen.
Now, who is the artist that did these?
Yeah,
that did the shadow box?
You're gonna ask me. I don't remember. I can tell you in a second.
Yeah.
So you look at these cards, and they're just like they're just like looking like, it's almost like stop motion paper art, right?
Yeah.
That you see on a lot of this stuff, and it's really cool. Just beautiful. Like the silhouettes work on these kinds of things. It's just gorgeous. So what this actually is a documents. There we go. So if you look at this,
it's like a shadow box. Oh, it's cool. Oh, that's awesome.
I think you're muted, Andrew.
Andrew, we can't hear you for some reason. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Andrew, we can't hear you. Something happened.
So anyways, hope Andrew can get himself back online.
Can't hear Andrew though. Yeah, I think it's probably maybe either his headphones died or something. Andrew, it says you're muted, man. Is that me? No, I can't control that. He's muted. Well, whatever. He'll be back. There he is. Andrew, it says you're muted. Let me see what he's saying. Told you we were going to have a technical glitch. Never fails. Let's see. He'll be back. So that's cool. I didn't realize they built like a whole set for it. I assumed it was
so he had like this box with like layers and everything.
Sorry about that. I was looking at artwork on my iPad, and my AirPods decided to be like, "Yeah, now's the time to switch."
Oh no!
You never learned that lesson. There you go. All right. Well, we solved that mystery.
Yeah.
So, what'd you do with the original artwork from all that? Did they sell it?
I don't know. I don't know what they. I'm not sure if the artist still has it.
Kind of looks like it just slides out, and they can put new ones in and build new ones out.
Yeah, because he lit it with colored light and then took photos.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was my question, but I'm assuming I was muted or whatever from all the chicanery with the tech. Like if it was digitally colored or if it was lit in situ and colored that way.
It was lit.
It sounds like it was.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Man, that is awesome.
So I think he used like a Cricut for this, or some kind of cutter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense for the intricacy of it. We have, or there's a mutual person that Allen. I think Allen, you know her. I don't know. Her name's escaping me right now. Ben Hill would know who I'm talking about.
You're talking about Daria?
I think so. Yeah,
all the layered shadow boxes. Yeah.
Yeah.
She builds these big ones though. They're super heavy.
But she does it by hand, correct?
Yes, she does them by hand.
Yes.
So what's her last name? Oxnova? Daria Oxnova?
Didn't she develop like a RSI or something from having to do it all by hand?
Yeah, she did.
A what?
Like a repetitive stress injury
on her hand.
Oh, yeah.
So she built these like elaborate. Tony just said another person, Nicole Grosjean. I don't know if I know Nicole's work. I gotta look that up. But essentially, it's the same idea as this, but they're just stacked really tight. So they build out this piece of art that, like, if you look at it straight up, it looks like it's like building coming towards you almost. It's cool, but Dario used to build these like huge ones. I'd be like, why are you making them so heavy, man? Like,
it's impressive. It's really impressive artwork. I love Shadowbox stuff like that. It's so neat.
There's an artist on Instagram that does something like that they run little lights on the back, which I think is cool. And
and that way, like each layer is kind of lit up with its own thing or whatever.
Yeah. The thing I really liked about Night of the Ninja 2 is I was telling you earlier, I got to play test it before it was a thing. Like, I got to play test it just at a dinner, kind of drunk, and just like, sure, we tested 3 different games. I can't talk about the other ones because this one's the only one that's out. But I just remember thinking this would be a cool, like, if you ever get a chance to meet Justin, the dude just comes up with these ideas, and you're just like,
I met him. I was chatting with him at Gamma,
and you're just like, I'm just sitting there like, that's a cool idea. I wish I had thought of it, like, and all the games are designed to be like quick, fun games with your friends. Yeah. It's not like playing like Scythe where you're like, this is gonna take 6 hours.
Oh yeah, that's a worker management game and everything.
I fucking hate that game.
Me too.
Anytime my friends want to play that, they wanted to play Frostpunk, and I was like, nah. I messaged my friend, a group of friends. I tried playing it during New Year's. I wasn't drinking, so I got high. I tried to play Frostpunk, and I hated it. And then I was like, if I don't like this game when I'm just in a good mood, I'm not gonna like this game when I'm in a sober mood.
I like those kind of games as a video game. I hate them as board games because there's so much tedium that handled all by computer that when it's on a board game, this is a terrible experience.
Well, the thing I hate about games like that, you make one mistake and you're just completely hosed.
Yeah.
There's some that like try and mitigate that, but it's just like looking at it, it's like, God, this all could have been handled by a computer much easier.
Yeah. We Sunday before we went to I went to a pub game night at a local pub, and one of my acquaintances was setting up Distilled, which is like making whiskey and kind of stuff, and it's produced by one of our current clients. We're working on his next game called Luthier, which is all about instrument making in the Baroque period. But
cool.
Yeah, I'm like, so I have a copy of Distilled right here, but I haven't played it yet. I'm like, oh, I'd love to play that. We had such a bad experience.
Oh.
Because the teach was abysmal. It was such a poor teach that we ended up like stopping after 3 of 5 rounds. We're like, you know what? I think I'm good. I know what the game all does. Looking forward to playing it again once I know. Kind of thing.
Yeah, how to play it.
Were not explained well, or was it that the rules are hard to like head around?
No, the rules were not explained well, and there was a lot of as things happen. Oh yeah, that's right. You can do that too.
Right.
Oh, so one of my favorite games is Invader. And I like it a lot. I am a terrible teacher with it, and the next time it comes out, like next time I can try and get my friends to play it, I have to
Cosmic Encounter.
Cosmic Encounter. Yeah, I'm sorry. God, it's
love that game.
I love that game too. My friends that I've tried showing it to, they're like, I had one of those experiences where, because I was trying to run through, I was trying to explain it to them as we went along.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, everyone was like, we can see what this is like, but we're going to have to play this more to get like really into it. And then none of them have really like had a strong impetus to be like, hey, we want to go back to this one. Because there was enough of just the momentum that's needed for that game. Yeah. But I love the idea of that game.
I'm amazed at how long it's been around for.
God,
it's like what's the
82 or 84, something like that?
70s, I think.
70s.
Really? Yeah. Oh wow.
It just keeps getting like revamped.
Yeah.
It's not as cool as Fireball Island though. I'm just kidding.
God,
I still like playing.
I was looking at a new or a copy of the new edition that came out not too long ago. Like not the one that's sold in Target right now, but like the nice Kickstarter one. Yeah, man, I'm tempted. It's not that expensive on eBay.
Dude, I got like a copy of. I had to put it away so it doesn't get damaged. But Here to Slay. Have you played that?
No.
It's from
that one?
It's
Heard
from
of it.
T-Turtle thing. It's just it's just your wizards battling each other, and you can win scenarios. You kill 3 monsters, and or you create 5 of the subclasses. Basically, you have to have them on the table. It's not a it's a little bit of a trick taking game, I guess, but it's not that complicated. But apparently, the Kickstarter version of this game is. I saw one on eBay. It's sold for like $750, and it's this like little game. And I'm just like, I have another copy that I traded some art for at the Gen Con one year. So that's the one we play. And I'm like, thank God I didn't open this one because I'm thinking I can just eBay it. But I was like, who's paying $750? I mean, I get it. There's like big time board game collectors.
Goes like crazy.
Yeah, there's on eBay big board game collectors out there, and they got the money apparently because that's a lot for.
I'm trying to get my hands on a game that's out of print because one of my clients is redoing it, and I'm having a hard time doing.
What game is it? Or are you allowed to say?
I think he's announced. It's called Snow Tales.
Snow Tales.
I don't think I know
heard of it.
No, I hadn't either. It's all about the Iditarod.
Let's do a quick search. Snow Tales.
Is it like what would it be? Excuse me. What would it be broadly categorized as? Like a social or worker placement or
dog sled racing?
It's literally dog sled racing.
Really? Oh, so is it okay? That's like have you ever played? Alan's gonna hate me in a moment. Have you ever played Flamme Rouge?
No, but I played Heat.
Yeah, so that's another one I wanted to try and play. Is it? Yeah, I'm wondering. Is it? Yeah.
I have no idea what Snow Tales plays like though.
If it plays like that. I've been trying to get Alan to try out this biking game, but he's like, no, I don't want to try this.
No, whatsoever. I don't want to play a board game about biking, man. That sounds stupid.
But it's racing. You're racing. It's the Tour de France.
Here's the thing. If you had turned that into like an F-Zero style game, I'd be in.
So that's what Heat is. Heat is Formula One racing.
No, you're not listening. I didn't say F1 racing. I said
you want it to be like superhero or sci-fi, yeah.
Right. I think we just lost Matt.
Oh. Or yeah, his video his video cut out.
Matt, you still with us? Maybe one of his 5 hard drives was like, we're out. Bye.
Oh no, God. I think he maybe has the same issue that I have, where just like all of a sudden everything on his end just went sideways. Yeah, Cosmic Encounter, that's a game I really want more of my friends to play.
I've played it. I think the thing is I'm not as calculated when I play those, like Scythe. I just don't think that's 3 steps ahead or 2 steps ahead.
I don't think you have to be like super, if you play it like totally straight, yeah, you can be like calculating with it. But the real fun of that game is like, once you start to understand like, oh, like, all the rules in this is like, whose line is it anyway, where none of it matters and anything can change at the drop of a hat depending on the races that are playing. But like once you get into that mindset, then you realize it's like, oh, I don't have to win this way. I can just win this like weird ass way that they're telling me on my card. Like there's one race.
It's just not interesting. But go ahead.
It's
somebody watching might actually want to race a bike, man. I'm not stopping you.
Oh no, I meant like in terms of Cosmic Encounter, but yeah, Flamme Rouge. If you like racing games, highly recommend. It is very good. If you like mystery games, Whitehall Mysteries.
Whitehall Mysteries is fun. One of my favorite games has always been Betrayal on the House. Betrayal on the House.
We picked that one up not too long ago. We haven't played it yet,
dude. Matt, if you haven't played that game, it's
played it once,
dude. So there's a Baldur's Gate version of it too, so you're in the fantasy world instead.
Is there?
So it's the same concept. It's just you're in a fantasy world. So it just depends. Like, do you want to play like a D&D version of it, or do you want to play the original version? I don't like they did like the Witching Hour expansion, and they try to be like Evil Dead style humorous with it. And I was just like, I don't care for this.
You weren't feeling it.
The original's fine. There's 52 scenarios in there.
Yeah.
So if you can get through, we've never even finished it, but every time we've played it, we've had an amazing time. So
speaking of D&D,
yeah,
we played. Right now, I'm DMing my group through the new Dragonlance adventure path from.
Mm-hmm. I got that book.
And actually, I made this cool thing to go. Did I show you this, Alan?
No.
Where is it? Oh, it's at work. Son of a bitch. So
I definitely haven't seen it.
I made this. So I don't know if you guys know Dragonlance at all.
Yeah.
But there's 3 moons around the world of Kryn, and each one of those moons affects magic differently, right?
Right.
So in preparation for this, I'm like, I want to figure out some way to do this really cool so that we can, actually I might.
Jason said it all comes back to D&D. It always comes back to D&D, Jason. That is correct.
It always does.
Like the Dragonlance book has me excited because I want to play a Kender.
This story is centered around the Kender, actually.
Cool.
So here's a video of the this. So I made this. I was up one night trying to figure out how to make a contraption that will track the moon's phases and all this stuff. Because one of them has a 9-day cycle, 28-day cycle, and 36. So I'm like, how am I going to do this? There's gears and all this stuff. Maybe it's just like a clock, And I was up till 4 a.m. one night trying to figure this out.
Jesus.
And
okay.
I'm like, you know what? I need to go to bed because I'm not gonna. The math are too hard. So I messaged my engineer that I work with. I'm like, hey David, I'm not asking you to do anything. I just want to share my pain with you of what I've been trying to do.
Yeah.
Good night. And a week later, he sends me this video.
You got to screen share again.
Yeah.
And I'll click it for the audience here. Hold on. There we go.
I'm scared to press on the watch stream again because I don't know if my audio is just gonna go sideways or not.
All right.
Can I go?
Yeah, you can hit play.
Let's see.
Yeah, I'll just turn the audio off.
Built you a.
So this is.
Sorry, he made you an orrery?
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
An orrery, a device to track like planets and moons and everything.
Yeah, he did.
That's
awesome. My God.
You could totally kickstart that, right?
Well, we need to have an IP license. We need to license it. So
you just talked. Oh, it's not Margaret Weiss. It's Hasbro.
It's Wizards, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, got this made. I had one fucking wizard in the bunch in my party, and he ended up having to leave the party because life got too busy, and his dad came in as another character, who was actually closer to our age than Alex was. But
sure, his dad's like, I could take over. That's awesome.
Yeah, so he's playing some dwarf fighter now or barbarian. But anyway, so the other night we're playing, and they had just gone up a level, and the Kender druid got her hands on being able to cast Animate Dead.
Oh, that's trouble.
So she wanted to play with it.
Sure.
So she's like, okay. It's my friend David playing this character, and I shouldn't have name dropped him. Sorry, David, if you're watching. Shit got out of hand pretty quickly.
Sure.
And bringing her newly animated dwarven skeleton, who was a citizen of the city they're in, that she dug up the grave to get.
That's awesome.
I like where this
back to the barracks where they're helping out with the army. And upon seeing this skeleton, the guards are like, no, let's destroy this evil thing.
Right.
And it ended up in her casting hold person on one of the guards, and yada yada yada. She's in the brig.
Dang.
It was a shit show, and I kept having to reel her in. It was difficult, actually.
Yeah. Are you the DM?
I am.
Oh, okay.
And all the other players were trying to reel her in too.
Right. It's hard sometimes when, they're not quite murder hobo level, but they're just edging on it, and you're just like, slow down, man.
So I know, here's what's going to happen. And he's not going to watch this, so I can say this.
David's taking notes right now.
Back in first edition, druids had to be some sort of neutral.
Okay.
Neutral good, true neutral, lawful neutral, chaotic neutral, whatever. They don't have that. Alignment's not such a big deal in 5e, but because she was skirting the law so much, I'm going to say, you know what? Your alignment, because she's neutral good right now. I said your alignment has drifted into chaotic good. So her druidic powers are going to have a 25% chance of failing every time she tries them now.
Dang.
Because of it?
Man.
Don't take notes on this, Jason. Don't screw
No,
us.
I like that's a neat thing. Yeah, it's a neat mechanic.
I mean, we get hosed all the time in our games. We just do dumb things, though. We're not going against the grain all the time. We just do things.
The grain.
Our group is very much like our Spelljammer game. If our DM's like, don't touch the red button, we're gonna be like, what's the red button do? Donk. You can't do that to us because we're
one
just
of our
curious.
Players intelligence get hacked or dropped down to.
His intelligence dropped because there's it
was a roulette table. I bought how much?
Roulette wheel. All of us got something from the roulette wheel, but nothing crazy. One of us conjured a demon that we fought, but he lost intelligence.
You got to preface that by saying it was a roulette wheel that did not reward any of us. We all got anyone that tried it was hosed in some way or another.
Not that bad though.
Not bad though, but couple of you have played it beforehand. So then when he came on, we came back to this area and we were explaining to him the roulette wheel and he was like, "Oh, I'm going to try." So he tried it. And then our DM goes, so what's your intelligence level? And I think his intelligence at the time wasn't it? Because he needed it.
He got pretty dumb. He needed intelligence.
Yeah, because it was like let's say it was 11, and then the DM just goes, "Yeah, it's now a 3."
No, you couldn't even speak.
Yeah, he's pretty dumb.
And on top of that, all his weapons and armor rusted, I think, as well.
Yeah, his weapons rusted away too, and we were just like, "Oh my god, this is horrible." None of us knew what to say because we didn't know what to say to him because we had told him some stuff might happen, but it's not going to be we didn't expect that to happen. So it was like, Also, on a quick side note, I wanted to ask you, what's that?
I do remember, as he was going to do it, I just stood on the opposite side of the room because I was like, I don't want to be near any of this when it goes off.
We were standing with our weapons drawn, right? Because we're like, something's going to pop out, we're going to fight it.
We were all prepared.
So, Matt, I was going to ask you real quick. What's that? Yeah. I was going to ask you real quick, the place you go to play games, is it the place owned by Lynn Vander, the Round Table?
I'm in Ottawa. I'm not in Toronto.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Just checking.
Yeah, no. It's just a pub I go to. But I'm just remembering something that would probably trump all of my cool things that I started this thing off with. I'm listening to some audiobooks right now that are so fun. It's called, the series is called Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Okay.
Write this down.
That's a good title.
It is, oh my god, it's such a fucking riot. So, without spoiling anything, because it happens in the first couple of chapters. Earth, present day, this dude Carl, his girlfriend left him, and he's got her cat, who had just left out the window in the tree. He goes outside in his leather jacket and boxers to get her down, and at that moment, all of the buildings in the entire world get imagine if gravity was turned up 1,000,000-fold, just smushed.
Oh, nice.
So he's outside. He didn't get smushed. And then all of these portals open up, and he takes the cat and he goes in one of these portals. So that's the premise. And then what happens is he becomes this dungeon crawler in this video game type thing.
Oh, cool.
But it's a video. It's like something that aliens from other worlds are able to watch and bet on and sponsor and all these other things. And his cat becomes sentient.
Nice.
Her name is Princess Donut. It's so fun. It's such
I just found it on Amazon.
Yeah, I'll have to give that a look.
It's supremely voice acted by this guy named Jeff Hayes. It's yeah, I am on the 4th book and I haven't put them down. Like I listen to it on my commute, my 20-minute commute every day.
Sure.
And I've gone through 4 books in probably as many weeks.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, so like in addition to designing stuff for other companies and all that, your company has also designed a deck of cards.
Yeah. These things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, user experience design is something that people who work on apps and on-screen applications and whatever you have to do with a screen are like UX is in user experiences.
I used to do UI UX design before I started illustration work.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So that's a very digital term, right? Mm-hmm. User experience. And I mean, user experience really is user experience for anything, be it analog or digital, but predominantly it's tied to digital stuff. So I'm like, there's a lot of really great laws and principles that user experience kind of, touts that would really be helpful for board games. And a lot of the people that don't realize why a design works, it's because of the application of these laws.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically took there's 56 cards in the deck. Maybe 45, 48 of them are UX laws or principles, and then the rest are like just little tooltip cards on a checklist for before you send stuff to the printer or things like that. Just kind of general checklists and tooltips. But for instance, the front of every card will be like this. Here's what the law is about. This is like the kind of like the little synopsis of what the law basically is for universally, not in terms of board games. But then down here we say, how does that really apply to when you're working on board games? So
yeah, I like this. Like I could even see this being used for someone that was like trying to figure out stuff for like DM, like Dungeons and Dragons and all that. Like,
oh yeah.
You could totally look at these and be like, how should I craft my campaign better and everything, just looking through these.
Are you selling these somewhere?
Yeah, so you can go to tabletopux.com and that will auto forward you to the BGG store, the BoardGameGeek.com store.
Is this a pretty recent product that you guys have put out, or?
Yeah, they only came in like a couple of weeks ago.
Oh wow!
We did a pre-order for them for a while, but they just came in a couple weeks ago.
I'm gonna have to get one of these.
They're really nice actually. They have there's matte lamination on all the cards, so they're really thick and really nice. This is just a promo copy, which has like a little cheap little tuck box, but the actual one you get from BGG has this really swanky
it's like a hard box,
4mm thick box.
Yeah,
like, you can just chuck it in your bag and go.
Yeah, the product photos of it look really, really stellar.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy with it. I'm really proud of it. So it's something that it kind of ties into this other thing that I kind of I've been trying to do for a long time. Is this? It's called a Be Creative movement, I guess, is whatever movement initiative, whatever. It's just something I try to do to further creativity in the industry. And one of the things that we're doing this year at Gen Con is we're doing a social, which is basically, apply to come, and we'll put you rubbing elbows with a whole bunch of different publishers. And
I signed up for that, by the way.
You did. I know you did.
Put me on the list, man. Just kidding.
So it's geared for newcomers to the industry in artistry, illustration, graphic design, game development, and game design.
I think it's a good idea.
The whole thing is basically a 3-hour cocktail network party.
Yeah.
And then as a subset of that, 50 people will be selected to do rapid speed dating with publishers.
Oh.
So we have 8 publishers that we have as event sponsors. Brotherwise Games, Goliath, Maestro Media, Arcane Wonders, Deepwater Games, CGE, Floodgate, and maybe one more. I can't remember who. But so you basically sit down. You have a 3-minute date with each one of those publishers. You can use it for whatever you want. Meet and greet. Here's my 3-minute elevator pitch for a game. Whatever it is, just kind of get your foot in the door. And it's something that we want to try and just kind of give everybody a leg up. And I wish this was around when I was trying to get into the industry.
Right.
Yeah, that's an awesome initiative.
You're doing that with Daryl, right? You're working with Daryl? He's actually He's working on the game with me.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's my guy.
That guy's everywhere.
Well, he's been pitching me on game ideas in my world for the last I would say 5 years almost. I've known him for 5 or 6 years.
Daryl's like a virus.
He's a good virus, though.
He's a good virus. Yeah. He's a very good virus.
But like, I never. Well, it's also like one was I didn't have the money before because I was still starting out fresh, so I'm like I can't afford you. And then 2 was I was just too like I don't know if this is what I want to do with this world yet, right? Like let me build it out a little bit more. And then earlier this year I met with him again, and we had potentially 3 ideas, but I said let's start with 1, see how it goes. And I loved the idea he pitched to me. I could talk to you about it later. I'm not gonna do it live, but I loved it, and I was like, let's run with it. And now we're negotiations, and hopefully the goal is to have a play test by Gen Con.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and then that's why I said, well, you and I got to talk later because I want it all to be coming off the line. I want to be like, hey, I'm doing board games now too. Here's one to start me off.
Yeah.
But Daryl has been really good about also taking me to so when I was in San Diego with him last year, he invited me to an event similar to what you're talking about, not as big. But I was like, initially I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't really, but I went and I met a bunch of people who I'm talking to now. And I'm like, this is great.
He's such a great ambassador for that stuff. He really is.
He's really good at pitching you too. If he likes your work, right? He'll be like, guy.
Yeah. Not only like literally the amount of people that have come to me over the years because Daryl has mentioned my name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's very good at I got a couple things happening that I can't talk about yet, but it's all because they were like, I talked to Daryl, he showed me your book, or I talked to Daryl, he showed me your work, and I'm just like, cool. And it's not like he gets a kickback, right? He's literally just like, I love your work. Someone to talk about.
It's literally completely philanthropic.
We should get him on the show. I don't know, he's so busy.
Yeah, though. You do.
Yeah. I'll make a note of him too.
He's got stories. You should talk to him about his days of what was it called? So he was for a whole baseball season. Him and a few others were. Did you hear about this?
No, I don't know the story, but I know how much into baseball he loves.
Well, he was picked as fans of the year.
Oh, cool.
Or something, and he got to go to all of the games with the Jays.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Where he had security and all this stuff.
I'll have to ask him about that.
Yeah, he at Fan Expo one year. Do you know Jim Zub?
I think
he's an artist and he works in comics and stuff. Anyways, so he was telling we went to Fan Expo one year and we were all out for dinner one night, like 20 of us, and I was sitting across from Daryl, and Daryl was recounting this story, and it was hilarious. It was such a cool story.
Like last year at was it last year at Origins? It was the first year, not last year. It was the first year I came back. They came back in 2021. Daryl and I were, so it was me, Daryl, Julia Hearn. We're all like, we're gonna meet up for dinner. Something happened where I couldn't make it, and then I thought, oh, these guys are pissed at me because I missed dinner, right? And I was like, I was staying at the hotel next to the Hyatt because I was a guest of honor, so they put me up there. I messaged him. I said, hey, can we meet up still? I know it's late. So I ended up hanging out with Daryl and Julie and I forgot her husband's name.
Robert.
And we're all chilling at the bar. And at some point, I'm like, I haven't had dinner yet. So Robert ends up getting pizza for me and one of his assistants. And then Daryl's like, I got to get pizza from the specific spot that I've walked by so many times, right? But I've never gone in there because I'm just like, pizza's pizza to me, unless it's, Chicago deep dish. Then I'm just like, and I'm not going to discuss Chicago deep dish with anyone. But we go to this pizza joint, and so Daryl and I, at this point, we've been drinking, and we're buzzed, and we went to we're gonna go to another bar after this, and it's late, and both of us, he gets 2 pizzas, I get 1. I'm just standing in the corner waiting we're trying to eat. Our group is gone. They're like, we're just gonna keep moving along, and at the same time, this biker gang shows up in the middle of the street, and some car honks at them, and they're not like your Harley bikers, they're like your crotch rocket biker gang, right?
Oh, really?
Like more like this modern young
okay.
Yakuza level, and they start circling this car, right?
No.
Daryl and I are just standing there on the side, just eating our pizzas, we're not gonna get shot if they start shooting. And I'm like, should we walk away? He's like, nah, man, we're good. And I'm just like, and I see them get off the bikes, and I'm like, I'm gonna walk away right now. And he's like, no, you're fine. I'm like, okay. He was so I just want to see what happens, and I'm not going to react to it. And he's like, his attitude was just we're not involved. We're standing over here. We're just watching. I'm like, innocent bystanders always get shot in this situation, and we're just standing here. And the driver.
Have you learned nothing from Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah, I'm like, we're gonna get robbed. They're gonna steal our pizza. And
that is funny.
But the driver never got out of his car. Even though the bikers got off their bikes, and they just got on and just took off. But the whole later it was funny. But at that moment, I was just like, why aren't you reacting to this? And then we went to another bar and hung out all night, and I regretted it the next day because I was super tired. But
Corey, do you know Corey Thompson?
I think I've met Corey once.
Corey took Daryl to the French Laundry for his 40th.
Oh, God. Did he have a good time?
Teller came out and talked to the table.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I would love that. That probably was not a cheap dinner though.
No,
no, most likely not.
He likes. That's the other thing. I will give him a hard time about it, but I love the fact that he likes fancy meals. He's a little bit of a foodie. He just went to Paris. I was like, that's cool. I want to go to Paris on somebody else's dime. Come on, man.
Right.
Yeah. We are a little over time, but that's okay. The viewers have any? Oh, we were going to talk about real quick about your UX deck for your backup. Is that your backup server you're talking about? UX
for
deck.
What?
I have UX deck written down as a note.
No, that
was it.
Was.
Oh, okay. What was your backup server called? You were talking about that earlier. You have a RAID system.
My NAS?
Oh, your NAS. Never mind. I was talking about my RAID system. I thought it had a different name. That's how confused I am when I check my notes, guys.
So mine's a RAID, but it's NAS's network attached storage.
Yes.
So it's sitting over there.
Yeah, mine's a mini tower. It's sitting over here. It's got 4 drives in it, and then it also backs up to Nextcloud. But okay. I feel like you can never make enough backups.
No,
I've got backups on Google Drive. I've got backups on Dropbox. I've got backups on Nextcloud, and then I've got these 4 drives here. And I always feel like somehow all my work's going to go away.
Well, there's this 3-2-1 backup rule that a lot of people adhere to.
Okay.
3 copies, 2 different media, and 1 offsite.
1 offsite.
But these days with cloud, you got that anyway. So
yeah, that's what Nextcloud is.
So we work with Dropbox. That's our because I have all of we use Dropbox for Teams.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody has shared access to these folders.
Mm-hmm.
That gets backed up to my NAS as a second copy. It also gets backed up to Backblaze, which is another cloud storage server.
And Backblaze will send you a hard drive with all that.
They will. Right? That's one of the reasons why I went with them.
Yeah.
I used to go with CrashPlan, but I couldn't get it to work for Teams. So
yeah, I looked at Backblaze at Carbonite.
I use Carbonite. It's fine. I'm on like the cheapest personal plan or whatever, so it's a little pokey slow. And if I ever need to recover stuff, it would take an age, because it would have to either be like send me a hard drive, which I think costs a little extra,
Right.
or it's just like, upload it back to me. It's like probably going to take a few weeks to bring everything back. Well, like the RAIDs though, is that only for backup, or do you guys ever use that for like day-to-day access and everything too?
No, not yet. I archive all of our past projects to my NAS.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with any cloud storage that we use is I have to get 5 terabytes.
Damn.
Yeah.
So, because right now my Dropbox is like at, what's it at? It's at
that's a lot of data storage, man.
3.6 of 5 terabytes is what we're at. And I'm constantly tossing stuff to my archive when we're done.
Okay.
So
that's good practice.
Yeah, so that's where the problem comes in, because it's not cheap. Recently, because Dropbox has this fun little feature where if you have your Dropbox folder on an external drive, and then for some reason it gets unplugged, Dropbox says, "No problem, we got you, brother. We're gonna just delete all those files for you. Is that okay? Good? All right, we're good."
Yeah, that sounds like Dropbox.
It's happened a couple of times, so to the point where I'm like, I need to find a new solution. I can't have this happen again. So I found a Canadian solution called sync.com. It was highly touted, very, very high ratings. I bought the first month for everybody, which is like $250 or whatever it was. I got myself set up on it before I gave it to everybody else. Tried to copy stuff over, and it was at a snail's pace.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So I'm like, Dropbox, unfortunately, is the best of bad choices.
I mean, yeah. I mean, one of the reasons I built the system here was, my idea was I can back up files to this, access them here at home if I need them fast, and then back up the Dropbox as a backup. Because one day I was trying to get the Dropbox and I couldn't access it, and I'm just like, I can't get to this file, and now I can't get my homework done, even though it's supposed to be saved locally and then backed up, right? Like, the local file here is the Dropbox back. I'm like, why can't I access this freaking file? And I used to, back in the day, have the little hard drives, remember? The little portable ones? But now
remember zip drives?
Dude, I actually just eBayed my zip drive. Gone. Yes, I used
when
all of college with zip drives.
The click of death?
Oh, yes. God, yeah.
But I mean,
I remember when my family
save work on those back then.
I remember thinking, like, man, I'm never going to need more than 100 megabytes. What a fucking fool I was.
I mean, I used zip drives all through college, and I never thought I'd be making these giant, like, most of my files are like 500 or 600 layers now. That's just,
I was using zip drives in high school.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Like, especially like, Alan, as you get more into like 3D modeling, that's where everything gets eaten up. Like, I want to say out of like my largest drive, my 3 terabyte drive, I'm fairly certain half of that is taken up entirely by 3D assets.
That sounds
and
about right.
I just need to find I was looking at a regular platter drive that was like 32 terabytes. It was only like $200, and I was like, oh my God, I could do it.
That's just, you could just buy it, put it in. It's probably gonna be slow as crap when it's actually working.
Yeah.
I
mean, the problem.
Yeah.
I got a Mac Studio last year, like the new Mac Studio thingies, and I only got 2 terabytes for storage. I'm like, that's not enough. So I picked up this little thing from Other World Computing, and it kind of goes underneath your Mac Studio. It has the same footprint, so it looks like the same thing, but it's black. And basically, it's a chassis for, it can hold a 2.5 or a 3.5 or an NVMe drive.
Oh, nice.
So I put a 4 terabyte NVMe in there, connected via Thunderbolt to my Mac. So it's like super fast.
Yeah, nice. That's perfect.
I mean, I just built, I used to have a Mac, man. I just build PCs now.
I had a PC. I went back to PC, and I'm like, yeah, this is not working for me.
Really? I mean, that's fair.
I've been a PC all my life. PC guy all my life. And then I went to Mac, and then I'm like, no, Mac is too expensive. And
then
I went to PC. I'm like, I'm turning 50 this year. I just want no hassles.
You just want it to work. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like I was just telling Andrew the other day. I gotta change out 3 fans in this thing, but it had the system fans itself. They work hard. I leave this thing on sometimes for days.
Yeah.
I've had this system for 6 years now, and it's been cooking along with no problems. So it's probably gonna explode later tonight. Now that I said that, so.
I opened up my NAS to for whatever reason a little while ago, and it was like there was a colony of dust bunnies in there.
You gotta clean those out, man.
But because
is your fan dead?
The kitty litter box is not far from it.
Yeah, good old cats.
So I cleaned it out, and then I looked online what I could build. I have a 3D printer, so maybe I could build some housing.
Is it on the desk? Because when mine used to sit under the desk, it got more dust than when I moved it on top.
It's in a built-in shelf unit, so it's probably
get it out of there and put it on top.
Yeah, and so one of the suggestions I found online was to go to the grocery store or to the drugstore and get some pantyhose.
That's an old it's like when it's just an air filter. It's a filter, just like in a car.
Yeah. So that's what I did. It's got some black pantyhose on it right now.
I've done that. Not pantyhose, but I had a souped up Civic back in the day, and the air filter fell off once. I put my sock over it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I gotta drive. I had to get home. I couldn't drive without a filter on it, so I put a sock.
Oh goodness.
Over it. Called it a day. All right, now we're definitely over time.
Yeah.
So Matt, where can we find you and your company online?
You can find us at mattpaquette.com. And on Facebook, Matt Paquette and Company, as well as Instagram.
Okay.
I'll plug this UX deck as well, because I think everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Then Allen, where can we find you?
All my stuff is under ancientones.net. This is the same spiel I have to go. And then all my socials are under AllenPanakal art, except for TikTok, because some ass is sitting on it still. And so, real quick, Miss Andrew, tell us where you are, and I'll do a quick recap of what happened yesterday with Matt.
asidesart.com. Sign up for the newsletter or Patreon.
Nice.
So, I thought yesterday somebody took my name. So I think what happened is my name on Discord was in caps. Discord naming convention is case sensitive, right? Except I think
let's preface it by saying that Discord for some reason allows case sensitive,
which they don't do.
Which is weird.
Which is weird. I don't think they do it now. If you change your name now, it's specific to what the name says. So like you can't have so I took AllenPanakal art when they let me change it, because in my head I was like, someone else is gonna take it, just like this TikTok guy, right? So I think whether I make it all caps or lowercase, AllenPanakal art is mine. But what happened in your case, Matt, I think is I sent you the invite with the other name, which I'm not gonna say, and at the same time, like 20 minutes later, Discord sent me a message saying, hey, you can change your name to be unique. And I said, sure, assuming it would just change across the board. But what I think it did was when you hit yes to the invite, it sent it to the other name with the lowercase, same numbers, but lowercase.
No, that's not what happened.
No? How did he get my name?
I looked at your you sent me your username with the hashtag and everything.
Oh, and you typed it in.
I sent a friend request to that person.
Got it.
But
okay.
I changed the case.
Yeah, so that when you changed the case, it went to this. We'll call him an asshole because he's an asshole. And then what ended up happening was so what ended up happening through a series of events for this guy was first he fucked with you, then he fucked with the wrong friend, who we're not going to name her, but he messed with her, and she just went down a rabbit hole with him, and we got all this information, and at first I was like, how? So I was like literally like sitting here thinking, did this guy steal my name? How is this even possible? Because I have 2-factor, like you have to go through a series of things to get through. I turn on everything, even my password is like 60 keys long. Like, good luck, So, but okay, so that's what happened. You typed it in wrong, but now their new thing is, so like if you got I feel like everyone should go change their names to what they actually want before somebody takes it. So it's like
I don't think they have it like fully rolled out yet, to be honest.
They'll send you a message when it's your turn.
Yeah.
They sent me one today and I hit maybe later. Yeah,
so I'll send you an article that I got on it. Basically, it sounds like, so how do you say last name again? Paquette, right? So if you got like Matt Paquette, just one word, whether it's lowercase or uppercase, I think you own it. is what they said. What they're supposed to do, according to the message they sent me, is take my old name and archive it and supposedly put it in a plaque somewhere that I can see it, like I think attached to my name. I don't see it yet. That's why when you messaged me yesterday, man, I was like, oh shit, this guy stole my name. Like, and he's an old racist. Amazing. Oh, that's what I didn't tell you, Matt. Turns out he's a super racist. It just went down the rabbit hole, man. So,
well, I'm like, his answer is like, "Are you high? Like, what's going on?" So
I read that conversation. I'm like, yeah, that went south fast.
So I sent him I sent you on Facebook Messenger,
right,
a 4-digit code. I'm like, hey, I just sent you a 4-digit code on Facebook Messenger. Can you parrot that back to me? He's like, you didn't send me anything. I'm like,
yeah, he sent it to me, and I was looking at it like, what do these 4 numbers mean? And he's like, that's my parents' phone number. I'm just like, I was staring at it. I'm like, I don't understand what this number means. But yeah, so like, our friend messaged him. He added her. She starts talking to him, and then just all this information starts coming out, and you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, why be that person? But whatever.
When I first saw your username, I thought you were just a big Avatar Airbender fan.
Appa.
Yeah, I could see that till you figure out what it means. Yeah. You're funny. You're very funny. All right. Let me
next week, Alan.
I will tell you. Oops. I think my screen might have closed out, but I'm still here, guys. Give me 1 second. Don't worry. I'm just trying to find my calendar. Here it is. Next week we have Grace Fong.
And then on the 30th, we're not gonna have one after Grace Fong, and then on the 30th is gonna be Sarah Finnegan. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it'll be Sarah Finnegan, and I'm probably gonna have a guest host.
I was gonna say someone else since I'll be out of town.
I haven't confirmed who it is yet, so we're not gonna announce who the guest host is.
That's fine.
Yeah, because I booked it, and then you had to change the dates and whatever. But Matt, appreciate you being on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been great. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll definitely maybe have you back on after Gen Con, or are you at Gen Con? Yes.
I'm at Origins, Gen Con, and probably BGG as well.
Okay. Oh, I've never been to BGG, so
it's a lot of fun.
I'll have to check it out. But yeah, we should have you on to talk about some of these events once we're done. It would be cool to have you on to talk about your event once you and Daryl run.
Yeah, that'd be a blast. I'm really looking forward to that.
So am I if I get in. All right, man. I'm gonna take us offline. Give me a second. Thanks for everyone who's watching.
Thank you.
Thanks. I appreciate everyone watching.